Good morning. We have a problem. We have a problem with a disputation on what is considered an inheritance and who is entitled to be the legitimate progenitor of a specific paradigmatic experience that comes with being in lineage or legacy with specific historical moments. This is important. I'm going to start with a brief story. It goes all the way back to ancient Egypt. At a certain point in ancient Egypt, it was reputed that there was a woman pharaoh. She was known, at least at the time, to be a very successful pharaoh. She was successful in battle. She was also successful in social development. Like pharaohs do, she had monuments and testimonials to her empire erected. But after she died, later men who were pharaoh didn't like the association the kingdom had with a woman of such stature and prominence. And so a very comprehensive campaign was engaged to remove the evidence of her realm from the kingdom. This persisted for a substantial period of time. Entire eons were allowed to unfold, where what was available for assessing an accurate representation of her reign and how the people of the kingdom, as well as others, fared during her reign was allowed to be known. We are in a very similar situation now. I've contended for some time that the United States believes itself in some manner, way, shape, or form to be the inheritor of a number of different legacies. During the last 20 to 30 years, indeed, since the late 70s, early 80s, it was known that the Earth was going to be in a very specific position in terms of its alignment with the rest of the cosmos. And there were going to be periods of time when unique information was going to be made available to us on Earth based upon our positioning relative to other areas of the galaxy and phenomena that did not have a reflection in what was existing as the record of past alignments and concurrences. And there were those that knew about this. Some tried to present information in different ways. Some people got the spirit of adventure about them. Some people perhaps thought they heard an ancestor speaking. They went places, they pursued things, they listened to people, they talked to people. There was a time when you could have a conversation without having to ding off 4 or 5 specific demographic indicators beforehand so that somebody could remotely calibrate the information and the quality and quantity of the information that was allowed to flow in the specific moment you were together. But at some point in time, especially in the last 20 years, things have accelerated. There was supposed to be a first wave of people that had consciousness of the importance of that alignment. They had a very profound responsibility when it came to preparing the way for those that were meant to come to Earth with great gifts that could be made available to other people so that those people could get what they needed from their cosmic inheritance as well as their earthly inheritance, and they could be able to flourish. But there were those that conspired to prevent the actualization of the material foundation for that flourishing. They were covetous, and they insisted on creating an exclusive milieu among them and then liquidating the others that did not comply. Now we're in a situation where most of the diamonds have already been terminated. And what do we have left? Well, what we have left is people that have exploited and appropriated other people's inheritance. Their job was to assure that they had done what they needed to do so that we could inherit what we needed to inherit in order to do the work we needed to do. Our work, my generation, was different than theirs. They had no entitlement to try to rob the youth because they thought it might be sexier or easier. Because in the course of doing that, they also robbed each other. And now you have all kinds of people that have completely arbitrary determinations for deciding, I like the elements of that legacy better than the one I had. I like that one better than the one I had. And then you get enough people together to do that. And so you just go around targeting everybody else's legacy and you trash it and defame it and you slander it and you develop a false technology paradigm in order to try to contrive and manipulate it. And by the time you're done, well, you know what? I don't want it anymore. I don't want it anymore. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to get away with trying to shirk your responsibilities. And if you've got other people who thought that they were rich enough or they had enough clout and they could just consolidate something and determine on their own, you guys are the wrong people. Even if there's only 8 of us, there's too many of you pretending to be someone you're not. And you've already been informed of this, and you've already known for a substantial amount of time. Now, I'm going to speak directly to the video regarding Vivian and Anya and Shira. You did not have the authority to interfere. That was identified and directed at 2 specific literal individuals. You have refused to assert your authority. If you are operating, as I suspect you are, in concert with a pretender to that authority, who assured acts of sabotage during his administration so that he could defame and deface and disgrace who was actually entitled to inherit, you're going to have to deal with the consequences. You are not going to be able to export that. The call was made by those 2 individuals within the continental United States. Do you have a problem with 2 members of the military, former members of the military, attempting to engage a process within the continental United States that you think, what, you might want to try in another country because you want to inherit somebody else's inheritance? You're not allowed to do that. Cease and desist. If you were a part of the importation of other people hoping that you would raise some drone army after you tried to strip down their genetic inheritance and then give other people options, and you're in a difficult situation because you haven't delivered on time, well, that's because it wasn't yours to do anyway. Stand down. It's Saturday. For some people, Saturday is a day of reflection, a day of spiritual engagement, of meeting with one's family, enjoying a time off from work. I encourage you to try to enjoy yourself today. But these shenanigans were not yours to engage.